Hey, it's about time. Greetings and welcome to Smartwatch Tics, where we are going to show you the brand new KW98 follow on to the infamously successful KW88 smartwatch phone from Kingwear. This is going to be the trailblazer for 2017 because look at the bands, first of all. They're not stiff and rigid like we've seen in all the other Android 5.1 smartwatches where all the antennas are embedded in the bands. No, these are flexible. You can see right through them. Look at that. Yeah, and there's a whole lot more. We're booting it up. First of all, notice the really spectacular AMO LED AMOLED 400 by 400 screen and the edge-to-edge display in a nice, relatively thin, pretty darn thin package with speaker on the side and microphone over here and one button. And on the back, we've got the heart rate monitor, a charging section, and a special place to put your SIM card. SIM card. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And here's the bands. Now, are the bands removable? I know you're going to want to know that. I don't think so, but this is a prototype, folks. So it looks like they put them on and they've riveted them there. But they're free-flowing around the edge of the watch, so I don't know. Okay, I'm getting a notification. There's an example of how notifications look. It says updating maps, navigation, and transit. Google Play in the background is automatically updating my Maps app, it appears. And that gets us to how does this watch work, right? But before we go there, let's take a quick look at what comes with it. We don't have the packaging per se because it's not finalized yet, but we will let you know that it comes with a USB charging connector. It's the small pin, close pin type. There's two that are very similar, but these are closer together than the further apart ones, and you can tell because the watches have these really big round spots on the bottom. And it's strong. When you get it in position, there we go. It locks in nice. So you'll be able to set this up and charge it at night and know that everything's going to be fine. Okay. Well, we're back to the screen. Oh, you know what? I got to show you this. Let's turn the watch off first. And we're going to jump around. This is what you see when you turn it off is this page, which includes power off and reboot, but also a place you can turn on power savings and go into recent tasks, which we don't have any, but you'd swipe them here to get rid of them. Okay, at the very top, you've got this little round thing. We've seen this before on Android 5.1 in the better watches. You tap that full and it says small, and it gives you a little square, and that square is where your third-party apps will run in a square inside the circle. So if you have menu items that are off the screen because they're too big, we've seen that in some watches, you can't get to the menu selections, no problem. You just press and hold, turn that to small, fix your menus, press it again, turn it to full, and it'll come back, there you go, to full screen. Really slick. But what we want to do first of all now is turn the power off because we're going to talk about this whole SIM card thing. Now, most of you have phones, and you're probably going to have your SIM card in your phone. And if you're inclined to use just one SIM card, this is the kind of watch that's going to give you a great advantage because you see, you can be out in the field with just your phone and your watch, and if you want to put the SIM card in your watch and it's easy to take it out of your phone, you open it up, you take it out, you pop this thing off the cover, and there is your SIM card connection. Now, you open it up like so. I have this down to flip it like a pizza, but you know, every time I'm on camera, it gives me grief. Maybe I go the other way. There you go. Okay. And then you take your generic random SIM card. This is a nano SIM, and you're going to want to line it up with the little triangle next to the triangle right there. It's got to sit perfectly inside that square. Like that. You push this down on it. Get it lined up. There you go. And then close it. Okay. SIM card is in. So if we want to run on the watch, which is what it's designed for phone calls and text messaging, you need to have a SIM card in it. It's not really meant for tethering. But if you took your SIM card from your phone and popped it in the watch, turn it on, and you are ready to go out without your phone, just your watch, and still handle your phone calls and your messages. Now that's sweet. So while it's booting up, I'm also going to show you the Chinese manual. Again, this is a prototype. It's coming out soon. I don't have an English manual. Those of you versed in Chinese are going to be really happy. Those of you who aren't are going to do like we all do from time to time and look at the pictures to try to figure out what they're talking about. There's a picture. It's showing you 3G Wi-Fi and 4G Wi-Fi and wow. All sorts of stuff. Now, of course, your data connectivity over cellular is going to be highly dependent on multiple factors, one of which is what carrier are you using? In the USA, it needs to be AT&T or T-Mobile or one of the third-party carriers that uses their networks because that's the GSM network. If you're on Verizon or Sprint, they use different networks, and you're not going to be able to connect from any of these smartwatches. They all use the GSM network. So that's what you need to do is first check that. Then you need to check the frequencies in your country to make sure that they're going to match up with what you need for your watch to work. Smartest thing is to try to take, when they're all out, the specs and go into your carrier and have a chat with a tech person to say, is this thing going to work for me or not? You know? It's really an art more than a science these days, and I get a lot of questions on it, and because there's so many factors, there's no way I or anyone else can remotely answer it. You just have to go and check it out. If you're in the USA, you're going to look for bands that are 1900 for sure, and 850, I hear sometimes works in urban areas. So look for those numbers. 2100 is what you typically see, and that's for China. Okay. That's the manual, that's the charging cradle, and that's the watch. We're updating Google. Wow, this watch is going crazy. I love it. All right. You know, it ships with the core stuff, and it's really exciting to see when it's doing all these updates because it means it's tying in beautifully to the server. So since it's on and ready to go, let's start at the home screen and give you a quick rundown of how the layout looks like on the watch. From here, if you go left, you get notifications. If you go once to the right, you'll get all of your apps. If you go once more, you'll get music player for the music that's in your watch. And if you go again, you don't go anywhere. Okay, so you've got one. Oh, looks like I got it stuck right there. Come back to me. Okay. Hey, you're on camera. Quit misbehaving. All right. Notifications, watch face, apps, music. Okay. If you go down, you get this panel at the far left that tells you the date and how your battery's doing and the time and shows you cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity here. If you go to the right, then you get this screen where you can go into silent mode if you want. You tap here and it'll suppress all of the sounds, so you're in silent mode, which is great. This first icon here is a tilt, turn your wrist so you can see the time. We'll show you that in a bit. Airplane mode, cellular mode, location data, your brightness for the screen, which you can go really super dim in low. And in, whoops, I just turned on Bluetooth. You got to hit that low to bring it back up again. Oh, okay, it's actually up there. I can't see it. Touch it. I'll show you this once I get it in a mode you can see. There. When you touch it, you get all three of them. And then there's high, which is really bright. We'll run on high for a minute. If we get too much contrast on there and it washes everything out, we'll go back to medium. That's the second one. So that's the first one, second one, and the third one is your step count for the day. Resets at midnight. And that's tracking your pedometer, which you can turn on and off in the settings. Okay, that's that level. This level has those four things. And then the bottom level brings up your weather. and you can just simply slide down to get your weather panel. And that's all that's on that level. So that's the layout and operation of the screen. Did I mention the bands are so cool? You got to see this on. There. Look at how handsome that watch is. That is nice. And we have a variety of watch faces that come with it, and we can put designer watch faces on here. So let's jump over and look at the watch faces. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. This is classic Android 5.1 watch layout, stock watch faces that we typically see on these watches. But in case you haven't seen them before, we'll take a run through them right now. Some nice scenes with digital watches. That seems to be a favorite. Here's something that you see. You can have a battery icon. You can have your cellular signal icon. You can have your time and date and steps. All that's available. There's another graphic kind. Here's a really nice digital display. There we go with another circular rotating kind of a display. Now this one has got quite a bit of information. It's got temperature and weather conditions and date and battery and seconds and hours and minutes. Rather busy watch face, but it shows you what can be done with these clock skins, they call them, in creating very fancy watch faces. There's another one. Got some interesting other dials in here. And in this one. So these are the stock watch faces, but it doesn't stop there. You can have custom designed watch faces as well. And all of these are creations from Robert Poole. We actually did a video using this watch, which I couldn't talk about then, and showed a parade of all of these watch faces that are installed right here, right now. If I could just touch on one to go up. There you go. These do not come with the watch, but they are installable, all right? And there's just a ton of them. And this is just Robert Poole and what he's added. Now our second and minute hand happen to be lining up with each other on time, so we will skip this part of it and head over to look at the apps. But just to let you know, wow. Stop! All right, there's a wild one. Yep, all these capabilities exist to be very creative in your KW98 from Kingwear. Going to see a lot of interest in this watch. You know, the KW88 has been the top seller of all of the watches so far, and there's a lot of watches out there. And this, wow, this, yeah, I know. We'll do a comparison between the 88 and the 98. That's coming up, but not now. I'm just showing off the prototype. We got to get into the actual production when you can buy one of these. By the way, speaking of buying one of these, check the show notes down below. If you're not on the YouTube channel, first go over here and click the YouTube thing, and that'll take you to the YouTube channel. And then look in the show notes below this little video that's playing. Don't make it full screen. Keep it little and look down below, and you'll hit a show more button. You can expand it. And if I have sources for you to purchase this watch, I will definitely list them there. Right now, this is coming straight from Kingwear. They want to expose you to this watch, and so we're looking at a prototype. So the apps are your classic Android 5.1. We've got contacts. We've got phone, you know, your standard phone dialer thing. We've got messaging, your text messaging, all that predicated on having a SIM card. Those do not work tethered to your phone, right? That's a tethering watch. You usually don't have a SIM card in that. This is for doing all of this stuff with the SIM card. We have settings. I'll come back to that. Remote capture. When you are tethered to your watch, we do have limited capability. You can set up the camera on your phone to be pointed at take a picture, and then you can actually take the picture from your watch. So if you want to do a big selfie kind of thing or angle it over this way and point over that way, you have this capability to take remote pictures tethered, Bluetooth tethered, using an app called Firmware to your phone. Browser is the stock browser that comes with it. Calendar is the standard calendar. Clock is going to be where you set the alarms. This is the camera that doesn't exist on here. You see, this is prototype software and firmware in here as well. It's actually running the KW88 software firmware combination. And there's a camera on the KW88, and there's a gallery to show those pictures. So the apps are here, but they're not, of course, connected because there's no camera. Expect in the final version of this to see some modifications in that firmware, and you won't have camera or gallery. Music is for playing music that's in the watch. That's the same as when we scrolled over to the right. Remote control, this is the music that's on your phone. So this music player plays the music here. This is a remote control to play the music that lives on your phone through tethering, okay? The sound recorder. Wow, let's try the sound recorder, see what we've got. This is a little test of the built-in sound recorder on the KW98. Let's see how it plays. Save it. And we go here. I tried one earlier to test it out. Here's the one we just did. This is a little test of the built-in sound recorder on the KW98. Let's see how it plays. Okay. Sounds pretty good. Decent volume. There we go. You are looking at a prototype of the Kingwear KW98 Android smartwatch. Not really, really loud, but that's characteristic of these sound recorders. It's not a judgment on the overall volume. You'll see later that the volume's really bright on this. It's one of the loudest watches I've ever seen. File Manager, this is where you see what kind of memory you've got inside the watch to play with. And again, this is a prototype, so I don't know if it's going to ship with 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, a half a gigabyte RAM, whatever they're going to want to call it. Right now, it's not too beefy. It's got 1.96 gigabytes that I've used installing watch faces and apps and things, and a tiny bit that's available. You tap in here, and of course, you see all of your files, and you can move them around and do all sorts of things, but that's your file manager. Find Me is remote, connected to your phone to, if there's, like they call it, anti-lost or something, you start it and it'll make your phone ring in case you've lost your phone. Health, this is the overall health category for both the heart rate monitor and the pedometer. Now, when you're in pedometer, in this one, you can actually do interval pedometer readings by starting a stopwatch and tracking your steps over time. Really good if you want to do a specific run or jog or whatever. Okay, stop that, come back. And the heart rate, I'm going to need to put this one on the best I can and tap the button. And it should now start with the diodes flashing on the back, calculating my heart rate. And you guys know how it does this. One little diode shoots green laser light into your skin, the blood pulsing through the capillaries that feed the cells on your skin surface. It picks up the movement of that blood through your capillaries, and it comes back and is able to calculate and give you a blood pressure reading off of that. That's how those fancy ones you stick your finger in at the doctor's office calculate your pulse. This is along the same technology. It's getting better and better. I still wouldn't stake my reputation on it or my overall health. Use it for entertainment purposes only until and unless you can calibrate it to find out if it's accurate. For example, if it's reading 96 to 98 and I'm really at 76 to 78, I'm 20 points higher. If that's consistent, then I know subtract 20 points. So calculate it, but compare it with what is known. Get one of those things you stick your finger in. They're not that expensive. Or next time you're at the doctor's office, wear your watch. Whichever way you do it, don't trust the things in here. They're just all over the place. But they may be close enough that you could get a reading if you know what the difference is. Weather is your standard weather app we saw. And this is the voice search, which is like your OK Google thing, where you can ask anything. Show me the Smartwatch Ticks YouTube channel. Smartwatch Ticks YouTube channel. What do you know? Okay, and see, you can, of course, play YouTube within browsers, which is within the Google thing here. So you don't really even need to install YouTube on here. You got it all right there. So that's voice search. Play Store is your Google Play Store for downloading all your apps, and Google Maps is where you get access to your maps, of course, including the GPS. Now, speaking of GPS and other stuff, I've got some apps in here that I want to run through quickly to show you some of the engineering techie stuff that has to do with this watch. But before that, remember the fancy watch faces? Check this one out. This runs as an app, and it's a cute little Pink Panther thing. Nice. So you have lots of different features and ways of working with clock skins that result in watch faces on this watch, and that's one of them. Now, all right, let's jump into the GPS since we were talking about that with maps. We run this engineering MTK shortcut thing. We go over here to our location and go up here to GPS. Now we're on GPS, and we're going to turn it on, and I'm going to go over here to view. Now, usually first time through, it's a little challenging to get a signal on this. This is typical of what you see on most of the watches. So what I'm going to do is go out with the roosters, scold them a little bit, and we should see the bars pop up red here, like that one, and then they'll go green. Now, once they've got a lock and it's green, I can usually walk back in, and the good watches hold that green for a while, and the weaker ones don't hold it at all. Now, we're really curious, if there's no antennas in the bands, how in the world this works. So I'll be right back once I get myself some green bars here for you. Yes, I'm coming, rooster. Okay, I'm coming back in. I'm not too happy to report that we don't have great results. You see how I've got a mix of red and green? Usually they go all green. I mean, I've got a spattering of green, and they're holding in here right now. So, yeah, we've got mixed GPS results. It is locking up. You should be able to navigate when you're outside. But there's still a lot of red ones that aren't coming green. Okay, it is as it is. Now, Antutu, you've heard about that. The benchmark testing thing uses these two apps right here. We're going to run the benchmark, which I actually have already run it, and it takes a long time to run, so I'm going to show you the results. 15862. That's typical of a quad-core watch that's got 8 gigabytes of memory in it, and that's a good number. It's running well. Okay. Anything else? Shows you its rankings, which are probably way at the bottom down here because it's a watch. All right, that's Antutu. And then finally, all of the details that the techie folks want to know here in one place. Here's your system information. We got 512 megabytes of RAM. We have this available for internal storage, and that's the free space. So I got almost 2 gigabytes of stuff in here that is taking a lot of that space up. But that's the area that you can actually install apps into out of the 8 gigs, of which maybe 5 is being used for the operating system. I don't know, 4 gigs, something like that, plus the firmware, plus other stuff. Okay, here's the CPU, quad core, running all this. Here's the display, 400 by 400. The network, the battery. I wish it would tell you, the size of the battery, but it doesn't. It tells you the voltage and how much is left. And the Android. We're running Android 5.1 with all of this stuff on here. So that's the technical stuff. And we've done everything except for the settings, right? So let's get ready and let's go into the settings. Let's wander through here. Here's where we have sounds, and the speaker again is on the side, and you can judge by touching it, I think, how loud it is. This is one of the loudest watches I have heard. You hear that? That is loud. And clear. Sometimes that ringtone blasts out too much bass for some of the watches, but this one is handling it beautifully. So I'm very impressed. One, that the speaker's on the side facing your ear when you have it on your left arm, and two, most importantly, that it's good and loud. Now you have a whole slew of ringtones to choose from. We're not going to go through every one of those. I have some of these ringtones covered in other videos, but just be known that we have lots of ringtones and lots of notification tones and sounds that you can choose from too. These, of course, are shorter that you just use for notifications, and you can change those as you want. And you can turn it on to vibrate as well. So if you like to really keep it in silent mode and you turn on vibrate, you'll always be getting vibrations to notify you of things that are going on, at least for you to look at the watch and see what's happening. Our overall display allows us to control the slider on the brightness level here, like that. Remember, you have those 3 different levels you can do on the button, which you got to by, where did we go to that? Oh, yeah, we had to be back at home to our watch face. Then we slid down and over. Here you have high, medium, and low, okay? So just 3 quick levels that you can set your watch. But that brightness that we just looked at lets you adjust it much more accurately to just where you'd like. You can set the sleep time for as low as 15 seconds before the watch goes off, all the way up to 30 minutes. And again, when it's off, if you twist your wrist and you have that feature turned on, it shows that time. And if you're fast enough to catch it before it goes off, touch it, and it'll go into your watch face of choice, and it will stay there for the duration of time that you have set in your sleep time. All right? And then you have font size that you can change: small, normal, and large. Generally, you just keep it normal unless you really want it large, so you don't have to use glasses, let's say. App style lets us switch how these apps display when you go into your listing of apps. They can be in a circle like that with the clock in the middle. Kind of fancy, just a different way of showing things. But for the sake of keeping track of where we are, which I've lost already, I'm going to go back in and change that. There's settings over there. Back to the list. Okay. Then you get into your connectivity. This is where you can turn on and set up your Bluetooth. You can do the same thing with Wi-Fi, which I'm on my Wi-Fi router right now. And you have the ability to use the watch as a Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, for it to work as a Wi-Fi hotspot, you have to have a SIM card in here that supports the cellular data where you are, at least 3G, right? And then this thing acts as Wi-Fi when you go into Wi-Fi hotspot. It will really drain your battery fast, but you could go out with just your watch and your tablet, have your tablet tethered via Wi-Fi to your watch on cellular, and you could be doing whatever you do on your tablet using this as your connection to the internet. Pretty sophisticated. You have airplane mode. You have your GPS capability. We have it turned on with high accuracy right now, which is great. And that's what we need if we're going to get location data. You have your cellular networks. You can enable data. Maybe that's why I didn't get anything. You can do data roaming as well, preferred type of networks, access point. It all depends on where you live and what carrier you've got, how you set all that. And then restrict any of the app background actions. This will help turn off things that might be constantly polling in the background, like Facebook trying to get you your latest updates, or maybe email. I believe when you turn that off, it's not going to do that. There you go. It says if you restrict background cellular data, some apps and services won't work until you're connected to Wi-Fi, but it will save your data plan, okay? I generally turn that off anyway. It's a little slow responsive right now. Okay, that's connection. Mobile Assistant is the barcode you're going to scan to download the app that you'll be using for tethering. I'm pretty sure it's called Kingwear. You can get that from the Google Play Store, and it will show you what you can and can't do in terms of tethering. Gesture allows you like a time check that you can raise and look at your wrist, or you can turn on and off your pedometer. So if you're not using the pedometer very often or at all, just turn it off. And that sensor is not going to be monitoring your steps, and that'll give you a little bit more battery life. Solo power savings. This you go in here, and it shows you what's been using most of your energy, and it's always the screen. So be sure to drop the brightness on your screen as low as possible to get the longest battery life. That's the one real trick. Language, you can set your different languages that are available on the watch. And this is what the watch ships with. It was also in that list that we showed you earlier. And you can install custom keyboards if you want to. I like to put in the Google keyboard called Gboard and use that one because you get the microphone to do data input using voice. But this comes with a stock watch IME keyboard. And of course, you got your text-to-speech and voice input, just like on your phone. If you don't know about these things, play with them on your phone first, then play with them on your watch. It'll make it a lot easier for you. Date and time is where we set everything. You have all your automatic date and time zone stuff. You can manually set your date and time, all those typical things. Reset equipment, you back up your Google data if you have that turned on. And you can automatically restore it, and you can do a factory data reset right here. Uninstall applications is just what it says. These are all the apps that I have installed on the device manually that can be uninstalled. You just simply click on it. Now you get into the more advanced capability of force stopping it if you want to. Of course, uninstalling it, but you can even clear data and clear the cache as well. Real handy if you have some apps that you need to do that with periodically. And these little ones here with the green icon are all the different watch faces I was showing you that are installed. They have run as little APKs or little apps in and of themselves. So that's one way of installing watch faces, and that's the way that works currently on this Kingwear KW98 watch. And then finally is about this watch. Here's where you get the detailed information about what's on the watch. It's being called the KW88. It's really the 98. I expect that to be changed as this gets finalized with its own custom firmware. It's got these dates, and what you look at are like the kernel and build number. This is Thursday, December the 15th, 2016. 2016, 16/12/15, okay, December 15. And that's what happens when you do an over-the-air update, which you get to by doing this. You hit wireless upgrade. You got to be on the internet, on Wi-Fi in particular. And look, I have a download, which means there's a firmware update waiting for me. So we'll probably do that and do another video later that shows you some of the changes that happen during firmware updates. But for today and for right now, we're simply going through here and showing you all of the things that you can do inside the watch. And I had changed the settings for app layout to be back in list. Well, okay, let's go back in here again. Okay, have we finished everything on, yes, on the settings? That was the about the watch, which is the last thing. So this watch has a lot of capability, being that it's a pure Android watch. That means that you can do apps like you do on your phone, and you can do these different kind of custom watch faces. This one's running right straight as an app that I installed right on the watch itself, and it's got a cute little display. When I come out of here and go back into my main page, I have the watch face that's installed as one of these floating watch faces that you can pick from the list, right? So a lot of really cool, amazing things that you can do with this watch. There's a Bob Marley face, custom. Now these are all custom faces. The ones that come with it are back here at the very beginning. I like that one. So you have been watching Smartwatch Tics, channel dedicated to smartwatches. We appreciate your subscription in the link down below. And if you're interested in the KW98, this is a prototype right now. It's not on the market yet, but we're hoping it will be soon. It's newly launched, European style. It supports the 3G network with a nano SIM, covers Wi-Fi, GPS. It's got the AMOLED 400 by 400 touchscreen, just like the KW88. Real leather bands, fantastic faces, stainless steel casing, and it's got the G sensor, heart rate sensor, and a sensor hub in it as well. So enjoy this watch when you get your hands on it, and thank you to Kingwear for your innovative creation of a watch that is unlike any Android watch on the market. Very nice. We'll catch you later.